Today we are back reading and exploring a masterpiece of post-modernism called A Final Winter's Night, A Travel by Italo Calvino. So almost everything I will say I will put in the description with some links and some notes. First of all, a crash course on Italo Calvino. He's an Italian writer born in Cuba in 1923, who passed away in Italy in 1985. He was a journalist first, before writing full-time, and it's said that his style doubles in postmodernism. Pub quiz bonus: he has a crater named after him on the planet Mercury. So, nice. Some of his best-known works include Our Ancestors, The Cosmic Comics, a collection of short stories, Invisible Cities, and today's subject, A Final Winter's Night, A Traveler. We have to look first at the Oulipo movement, a French think tank, a group of yummy people dedicated to creative writing, and so they basically devised games called constraints with the aim to come up with interesting and weird stories. The full name is Ouvroir de littérature potentielle, or Workshop for Potential Literature, and at its birth it was mostly writers and mathematicians who were involved, so it explains why it is skewed towards a science-based approach almost, and a theorization of everything that was made. And it also explains why a good chunk of the early works involve math, physics, biology, and such subject. And they describe themselves as rats who construct the labyrinths from which they plan to escape. The most famous examples are The Void by Georges Perec, which is a book written without the letter E. So it's not a novella, not a short story, but it's a 300-page full novel without using one of the most used letters, so it's quite crazy. And that is called a lipogram. We then have 100,000 billion poems by Raymond Queneau. So it's a combinatory poem, which means each line can be combined with all the others to combine a new poem each time, and so there are so many combinations, hence the title. That's even if we all created poems for all our lifetimes, we will never see the end. We also have Exercice de Style by the same Raymond Queneau, an exercise in rewriting the same story but in 99 different tones and styles. And some other famous members include the artist Marcel Duchamp, and so I've looked around and there's actually an English compendium out of the most important works out there, so I will also put a link in the description. So what is the book about? Well, you're about to start reading Italo Calvino's newest book, A Final Winter's Night, A Traveler, that you interrupted multiple times. You of course want to know what's happened next, so you decide to be big boy and go back to the shops, and you're not scared of taking to the manager. So there you meet a woman reading the same book who also experienced that ludicrous display. So you quickly bond and embark on a new adventure in new other stories, discovering new countries, subplots, and characters until the myth is clear. Circling back to the Oulipo movement, what does it got to do with Calvino? He did live in Paris a few years in the 60s and 70s, where he met up with Raymond Queneau and became a full member in 73. So as a sort of assignment, he gave himself some constraints that led to I own tea. So if I win tonight, I travel. Calvino wrote an essay called How I Wrote One of My Books, actually twice, because he had to revise some elements. So in the first version in 82, he insisted on Oulipo-based constraints, because the title of the essay is itself referring to other works from the Oulipo, and he was following up on the Invisible City, where he used geometric patterns and other Oulipo-based ideas. So it's quite clear that he was influenced by the movement, and he wrote it also in a preface called La Squadratura of an art catalog around 75, where he stated that he wanted to make a book made only of bits and pieces of apocrypha books written in the first person. So the book would have been called Incipit, and Calvino eventually would come up with the family tree for the final book, and he said in a BBC interview that he wanted to give the story symmetry this time, not geometry, which explained like this pattern that we see. In the second version, in 84, he insisted on Hergierdas Greimas semiotics, so giving the book an almost genetic-like origin using like a device called semantic squares. So he goes from a literary change to a science-based approach to explaining the birth of his story. So what are semantic squares? Well, they are basically used to express relationships between things, and so in the concept of a book, it's mostly used to explain relationships between ideas, characters, and so how they would influence each other. And so it's like what's used in Rick and Morty, the hero's journey, which is a circle, and in this case, it's just a square. So what's interesting is that Carino referred to the theory of the symmetric squares after he wrote the book, and when he showed some of these works prior to writing the books, like his archives and drafts, none of this was present. And it doesn't appear that he really used the theory before writing the book, so it's a bit strange that he would refer to it afterwards. But it seems that there was a reason for him to change the origin story of his book, so it's not fully clear why, but it seems that it was because the Italian critics would be unhappy about him being linked to a French group and those French theories. This is also supported by the fact that the article was never translated in Italian, or not until after his death. He was perhaps trying to shift the origin slightly. The book wasn't based on just one or the other approach. It was a sound mix of the two. The book is told in the second person, referring directly to you as the reader, and each chapter has two components. So first, a numbered chapter where we follow the main storyline, where we want to read If on a Winter's Night. So the second part is the start or incipit of another story, each time told in a different style and genre, but linked to the main story. For example, the first story is shrouded in mist, and everything's a bit shaky and not too refined, and you and the story don't really know where you're going. What's explored is the reading process as a whole, including elements of like critics, censorships, editing, so it's the whole thing. Each incipit has a different style and meaning, so we have an introspective one, a sci-fi one, an erotic one, a violent one, and each story is said to be an apocrypha because they were written by Calvino, but as someone else that didn't exist, and also being about stories. The ending is the most classical happy ending, a choice by Calvino that ties the concept together. So it's kind of mocking the trope, but it's making it knowingly and in a logical fashion, so it doesn't appear out of the blue. The book was intended for the average reader, so it explains why it's so easy to read and why the reader is the main character. And it also ties in with the ending, so it closed a definitive one by choice and also one known by the average reader who has watched any Disney movies. So to Calvino, he was representing the engagement of the reader with the story, and although the structure may seem complicated, it's quite simple. So we go from A to B and we repeat it each time. So there is a unity. Lastly, all the title, they make up a short story, but I don't think there's too much there other than a cool gimmick. My closing thoughts. So to me, it's a book that slowly reveals its power. You only get it really when you've read everything, and then all small pieces and connections come together, and you understand the layers, or you discover them or read about them, and then it really appears deeper than it can seem or appear in the first place, and it was really intended in that way, I think. But for sure, I was confused at first, but it grew on me the more I thought about it, and also delving into how it was made, in the process of Calvino, and to read like experimental approach that he took. It was really interesting to see. On writing, I would say it's okay, but it's not the point of the book, so it's not pure style just for the sake of it. So it's balanced, it's quite balanced, but the writings and the background and the ideas and the structure are in the foreground. And yeah, definitely going to read more Calvino. I recently got The Baron in the Trees, and I said a few words about it in my last book haul, so you can check it out. Also, the whole Oulipo movement thing is quite fascinating, so just a bunch of really talented writers daring the authors to see how far they can push the language, and being French is also cool and a bit sad to see how they can stretch the language that way, but remain still completely unknown. So yeah, I've added a bunch of new books to the TBR, and maybe it will become a new favorite movement. Thanks for checking this review out. Hope you had a great time. Don't hesitate to follow me on Goodreads. I'm on Instagram, subscribe to the channel. So I'll see you in the next one. Take care and happy reads.